Where did I meet you?
Wow. I can't actually. I think we met in Durban. Was it Durban? Via Saint.
Possibly.
Yeah, I think we were at the Food and Fashion Music thing.
Festival.
Yeah, festival. Yeah, that's Saint.
It was Saint Baby's thing. Zolani, in detail, can you please introduce yourself and what you do?
I'm Zolani Shangase. I am a creative entrepreneur, but by trade I'm also a performing artist. I studied musical theatre at TUT, so by virtue of studying that, I have been on the stages from the West End to Wales to South Africa, but recently really formalized my business, which is Madevu Entertainment. I'm a creative artistic director for Madevu Entertainment.
What shaped your decision to get into the performing arts space, especially dance?
Studying medicine, I quit, and I realized that my passion lies in the theatre. My aunt had seen an ad in the paper actually when I was still in high school, and they were auditioning for young kids to be in The Sound of Music, and I auditioned and I got in. I was about 15, turning 16 at the time. I was in grade 11, and it was at the Playhouse in Durban, so since then the bug really bit, but I obviously wanted to do something more formal, and I thought the medical career would have been where I wanted to be, but clearly it wasn't. And yeah, I moved to Johannesburg and I studied musical theatre at Pretoria.
How many years were you in medical school before you were like, this is not for me?
Just 2. I couldn't do more than that. I couldn't, yeah, just 2 years.
And how was that conversation with your parents or guardians?
I didn't have it. I didn't have it. I just woke up one day and I was like, I'm out of here. And I actually lied to my parents and I told them I had been accepted to study something else in Pretoria. Meanwhile, I was still coming to apply, really. And it was a difficult choice because obviously every family wants a doctor, or they want people that are lawyers or have normal jobs, or jobs that they feel like will lead to a successful career. But I think I soon realized that I would have a successful career in music if I was passionate enough about it, yeah.
At what age did you realize that there is this world of performance that I am attracted to, and this performance, it started off as obviously dance, moving, and now music?
I think I realized from a very young age, in the sense that my mom was a singer. She was in big choirs in Pietermaritzburg, and I grew up watching her on TV and seeing her, and she was a soloist as well, and seeing her sing so beautifully made me drawn to, because I didn't live with her, it made me drawn to her and also drawn to the art of music. Dance came later in my career, because the music was always the way in, you know, and I was in choirs and primary, won many trophies that were probably as tall as I was at the time. But yeah, music was the way in, and found dance later at TUT. I hadn't really danced before. I mean, I'd done all the traditional, you know, as a young boy, but I didn't know that dance was a thing, you know. I knew people were singers, but I didn't know dance was like a real career. And I then started technical dancing, which was ballet, contemporary and jazz at TUT, and I slowly fell in love with it because the human body is just incredible, and how it forms to tell a story is incredible. And I wanted to emulate that, and partnering that with the music then meant that I was something more than just a singer. Then I was more of a triple threat, you know, because I could dance and I could sing and I was acting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You medical school. I'm still stuck there, sorry. Are you going through brochures, or you watching performances? You have friends who are in that space? What really cements this decision that I am going to art school?
It's the shows, because I'm doing theatre at the Playhouse at the same time. I remember I did Ingqayizivele just leading up to the 2010 World Cup. There was an incredible show that Dumandlovu directed, and I also did another show which was Handel's Messiah. So there was always this itch to be a performer, and it was solidified when Ralph Lawson was like, what are you doing? And Ralph Lawson is the director, and I realized that he was right. I needed to find my passions in music. And actually, I also auditioned for High School Musical Spotlight, and I was part of the top 20 kids that they chose, and we went to Cape Town. It was my first time out of like Pietermaritzburg or KZN, and I was on my first flight to Cape Town, and then I realized this is what I wanted to do. Yeah.
And do you have any key mentors or people who deeply influenced who you are, what you believe in, and what you committed to in your work and life?
I'm slowly finding my mentors, but I mean, I've got a lot of people that inspire my journey. A lot of young creatives as well that are just pushing the envelope, and it's mostly designers, fashion designers. I look at the Tebe Makukus, the Inga Madibis, you know, people that are really just doing incredible work. The Rich Mnisis as well. But in terms of the arts, there's my mentor at the moment is Peter Jacobs. He's the head of UJ Arts and Culture. Well, he doesn't know he's my mentor, but I take him as a mentor. He's just incredible. Like, he's an administrator of the arts, but also a person that really allows young creatives to thrive. And he's such a quiet leader, and I want to one day become a leader like that. Like, he gives you the opportunity and then allows you to just fly with whatever project that you're working on, which is really great. And there's not a lot of people like that. But in the industry, I guess my friends, they're the champions, the people that are doing work internationally and also locally, but also really value what the art is about. And it's not just about being famous, you know. A lot of us aren't famous, but at the same time, the impact and the work that we have done is of a high caliber, so I'm very proud of that.
You mentioned that your mom, you grew up in a home, in a family that appreciated the arts, that took part within the creative talent business. Your mom having the ability and the tool of a voice and the ability to sing. And I want to know, how has your parents' success or achievement shaped your approach to life?
Wow, my mom didn't necessarily make it as an artist because she also had to fall and take care of her family, fall back onto something else. She's also an entrepreneur, so I'm looking at her thrive in business, and like from very small, humble beginnings to like a person that's really taking care of her family with the work that she does. It showed me that I'm also capable of creating something that could leave a legacy for my family. My dad was a teacher, so I have that in me as well. He retired about 2 years ago, and a lot of people was like, please teach me how to dance, please teach me how to sing, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready to teach it, but I know there's something in me that has that bone, you know. So they've taught me that you have to fight, you have to really fight for what you want, and you have to be resilient in the decisions that you make, and also be strong enough to go for the things that you want. Because if you don't, then you're always going to be questioning or doubting the choices that you've made.
Because you come from a family that was a good support system, and I'm sure having experienced life and other kids or other friends or peers who don't have that in their life, and you notice that I was fortunate enough to have this warm breeding ground that shaped and encouraged what I wanted to do. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel very privileged, first of all, because even during this lockdown, I realized how privileged I was to be able to be without work for like 6 months in a way, even though I had a lot of projects that were brewing. Having a family that supports you as an artist is really paramount in shaping the kind of artist that you become. Like, I know for sure I do not like to work when I'm struggling. Like, I'm not as creative, even though I am creative in struggle, but freedom or art born from struggle is painful, you know, and it takes a little bit more time to let go of that pain or that struggle that you come from. So to have a family that really understands me now, I mean, it wasn't easy transitioning from wanting a straight career to coming to the arts. They were like, how are you going to do it? Even though my mom was very supportive and she was like, I always told you needed to be an artist, you know. And I was like, I was a bit hard-headed at the time. But to know that I've got support is so much more exciting because I'm able to create freely and not worry about what my family thinks about the work that I'm doing. I know that they well behind it and they can see a future in the art for me. So yeah, it's really great. And to all those artists that don't have support, I mean, lean on your friends, lean on whatever stability or support structure that you have. It might be a boyfriend, a girlfriend, wherever it is. Just lean into that and make sure that you nurture those relationships because they help in shaping the work that we create.
Absolutely. And what would you say is the one problem, be it social, political, cultural, economic, you intend to solve with your work that you can think of right now?
There's so many. There's so many. I think in South Africa, the fact that us as artists are not as protected by law, like the fact that the president hasn't signed the Performance Rights Amendment Bill is a problem. You know, it could really help a lot of artists, and the fact that we have other countries that are applying pressure and threatening sanctions or whatever it is just goes to show you how much power there is in the arts in South Africa and that how many creative people we have. So for those people to be nurtured in a way that they can really grow and cross over internationally, we need to be protected by our laws, and our government needs to come to the fore and have conversations with us and really find strategies to engage artists in a way that it can help them help us and we can help them in turn, because at the end of the day we pay our taxes, at the end of the day we contribute to the GDP of our country, so we are as important as any other skill that exists. And just a reminder that everybody goes home and watches TV, everybody goes home and turns on the radio, and who are they listening to? They're listening to artists and creatives, people who come together to create something magical, you know, so we are as important as everybody else. But for me, it's to create, and my company is to create a playground where young artists can collaborate freely, and I mean collaboration in the biggest way possible, because a lot of people say they're collaborators, but they're really not. And when it's time to put in the work, we all want the glory, but not so much the hard work, or we're not willing to risk, you know, our values or even our what we stand for, you know. So we have to be willing to risk that to create the impact that we need in the society. And if we are, as young creatives, becoming producers, becoming directors, becoming the people behind the camera and in front of the camera, then we create a culture and a community of creatives that really work together. Because I believe our stories are as great as the stories on Broadway or West End or even in Hollywood, or Hollywood is doing so much better than us, and you're like, that they're right here in Africa. And we need to cultivate our industry in a way where it's mutually beneficial and the artists are at the top of the food chain, you know, when it comes to the business of the arts. And when monies are being, you know, negotiated, the artists must always take the biggest chunk, because it's us that, you know, put our, even though producers are great and they do work, but we need more producers that are artistically inclined as well, you know, and they want to see artists do well, want to see artists owning homes, want to see artists running businesses, and if we treat ourselves as businesses, and that is when we will actually change this industry.
And when you are creating a body of work, how much of those thoughts goes into the piece?
I try not to limit my writing or creativity to only social political things, and I mean, it is important for the art to reflect the times. It is, but there's also a lot of entertainment value that doesn't have to always, be trying to say something. It can be arts for art's sake, but also it can have a very deliberate messaging. And I feel like there's not a lot of shows on TV or in the theatres that are deliberately trying to say something that changes the society that we're in. I mean, all the shows on TV are about bad people, drug lords, or getting away with murder, on a daily. And that's what our kids or our parents are looking at, and they think that's who we are as artists, or that's what society is in South Africa. Yes, a lot of politicians are getting away with a lot of bullshit, but at the same time, we have to interrogate that and have to really make those people accountable for their actions, even in the stories that we tell, so that we breed a society that understands that no amount of bad behavior is going to fly. We have to really call people out and have to really interrogate what makes us good as people and also what makes us bad, and really balance those two. So when I'm writing, I go with the vision first. Sometimes it comes to me in my sleep, or it's a collaborative effort from someone else coming up with the idea, and I'm like, okay, this is how I'm going to help you. And so a lot of thought goes into what kind of show we're trying to create, and then the look and feel. But it's mostly the idea first, and then let the idea birth its own little ideas, and then you just go through a process of elimination and go, okay, this is great, but it's steering us too far from the idea. And and eliminate to a point where you have something that is really succinct, but can also leave a mark that is high impact.
Yeah. To be able to create, you need to be motivated. Motivation is key. What is the driver for you? What drives your motivation?
Money.
Money is very important. I agree with you.
I can't create when I'm broke. I'm joking.
No, you're not. Money is important. Please don't say you're joking.
I'm not joking. Money is definitely important.
No jokes.
But definitely no jokes. Money is very, very important. I feel like if more money was plowed into the arts, in terms of like real developmental phase, not necessarily where like the big artists are, grand phase, where young people can come into processes where they see things developed from scratch and there's money pumped into that, they'll realize that this is an industry and it's not just anybody can wake up and be an actor. So what keeps me motivated is the prospect of getting more money, yes, with the work that I do, and we have to be paid for the work that we do, and also the fact that there's an industry that is just craving new talent. It's an industry that is wanting new people to create new things. So that keeps me motivated, because it shows that there's a gap and it needs filling, and I'm one of those people that are actively trying to fill that gap of creating new work and allowing young people, or people that have trained, people that this industry has a habit of making presenters, actors, or people that really haven't really gone through their paces as actors or creatives, which can be very like disconcerting as somebody that trained. You're like, well, why did I go to school when I could have just spent 3 years working on my social media and have 1 million followers, and then I can be on any show that I want to be. There's time and place for those people to do well as well, and I'm not like shitting on their shine, or they deserve what they deserve. But at the same time, we need to breed a culture where people know that this is an art form that you can go to school for, Not saying that's the only way to make it, but it definitely helps, So the motivation is knowing that I worked hard at school, and that hard work and the experience that I have in this industry is going to be the thing that really puts me at a place where I'm a business mogul one day, and a creative entrepreneur that wants to see other creative entrepreneurs coming up. Yeah.
As an artist, as a creator, as a contributor, as a collaborator, as a person who works in the business of the arts, the business of creative talent, what is the underlying message in your work that ties it all together?
Yeah, that's a difficult question, because there have been so many different projects. But I think the underlying message that ties it all together has been my passion for the arts, and the the care, the love and care, and the deliberate, intentional doing. That's the thing that ties it together. Like, I'm intentionally doing something, so nothing you see that I do, or that I've directed or that I've produced, has been by chance. It's always been, we deliberately going to do this. So it's having a focus that has an end goal, and the output is as important as the input. So if you put in work, you have to then give it out to the world to see. The underlying message, I think, then, is that there is space for all of us in this industry, and that we are more than what we think we are. We're capable of much more. And even in my work, like, I've always been pushed by the work that we do, and I'm like, wow, I didn't know I could do that. So I've grown in many ways in terms of skill in this lockdown, and just in my career as a creative, I've always been watching directors and seeing how they work, and hoping one day that I will be that guy that directs one of the biggest series in South Africa, one of the biggest movies. I want an Oscar, I want a Tony, I want a Grammy, I want to be an EGOT. I want them all, and I'm okay with the South African Theatre Awards for now. The goal is much further than here.
What influences your creativity?
Wow, what influences my creativity? I guess I watch a lot of stuff. I am immersed in a lot of theatre, so that influences my creativity, but a lack of representation in this industry influences my creativity. A lack of young creatives making their own thing really forces me to wake up and do that. So I'm influenced by my surroundings, I guess, but also just the need to create is a big influence. Yeah.
And when you have this sudden outpour, I mean, it's not necessarily sudden, right? But when you have this need to create, what comes to you first? Let's speak about your creation of music. Is it the words or is it the melodies that comes to you first?
I love to improvise my writing and music, so it's a combination of both. Sometimes the words come first, and then I have to sort of make the music match what the words are saying, but sometimes the music is already there because I've got incredible collaborators, Snare, Dion Song, who work in everything that I've touched recently that is music. So they're actually very big influence in me and in how I write. But usually for me, it definitely is the words. I mean, they're the most important thing. But the music is also great, and I love how Snare interprets my words and also how Dion interprets my words. So it's interesting, and finding her words too, because Dion is an incredible writer, who makes me feel a little bit shy about my writing sometimes. But because I'm a collaborator, I'm not, that doesn't make me feel less than. In a way, it encourages me to do better in my writing as well.
And then when you're creating a dance piece, are you thinking space? Are you thinking about movement and that's wardrobe? Or are you thinking about story?
Story. Definitely the story. Like, even in music, the story comes first, which is the words then. In dance, definitely the story and how that translates into the movement of the body and how that collaborates with the music. So for me, you have to really find the story and then allow that story to pour out of you first. Then the language of the dance is created with the music, with just every breath, and then the costume is just the layer on top of that. But enhances what's already there. My best thing is to just rehearse in black until such a point where we're like, okay, now it's time to add the layers that informs the character which is the clothes, the makeup, or even just the setting of where the people are. But definitely the story first.
And at what point does the audience factor in?
At the end. Like, I don't worry about them. I mean, depends what I'm creating also. For like my show On the Road to Music, I rarely thought of them, but at some point my director was like, well, you have to engage the audience at some point. I'm like, oh, they're there? Okay, great. But you obviously have to have them in mind in the sense that your work will be consumed by an audience. You can't just create work for yourself. So I do factor them in the creation process, but in a sense that I'm like, would this resonate with more people rather than will they like my work? It's more about how it makes me feel, and if it makes me feel like it's relatable, then I think any audience member would be fine.
Are there limits to human creativity?
No, not at all. There are no limits. I think there is no limits. We only limit ourselves if we start thinking about like what people are gonna think. We limit ourselves to what society thinks, and we shouldn't do that, because then you're never gonna create the things you want if you're really focused on what the audience wants. Even though they're great to focus on, but yeah, there's definitely no limit to human creativity.
As an artist, when do you know when a piece of work that you've been working on, that it's complete and it's ready to share?
Oh, that's a hard one. When do you know? I guess with music, it's easy to know like after it's been mastered and it's gone through the back and forth, the reverts with you and your engineer. It's easy to know. With theatre, I think after the last preview, when you've had a bit of an audience before your actual opening audience, then like your cast is settled, they've had enough time to really play before the official grand opening. But I guess you can never be too complete. Like, it can never be complete. I mean, there's always room to grow, and if you allow your projects to do that, then they will naturally do that. Yeah.
And cultural radar, what is moving the needle and hitting the cultural nerve right now?
Africa. The whole world's watching us. I mean, our cultures are so multifaceted, and we're also different but the same. I think people are realizing, like, Kaya. It's literally the thing that drives me even. Going home, I'm always just like blown away by how beautiful our black women are, and how effortless they are in what they wear and how they carry themselves. And like, I was even thinking that at home we have this kraal with all the goats and all the chickens, and I was looking at it growing up, I'm thinking, this is so dirty, and I had to clean it all the time. And now that I'm older, I'm like, imagine me in this avant-garde outfit in the backyard of my grandma's house. It would look amazingly artistic, but we really don't think that that little kraal is something that could be on Vogue magazine. We don't see ourselves like that. And the moment we start seeing ourselves in that light, the more we'll stop being exploited, because other people can see the beauty in what we have, but we can't see it in ourselves. So we really need to start waking up to moving that needle more towards home, instead of it being just so left, for every cultural appropriator to come and, go, oh my God, that show looks so great, but it's an American doing, something that we could do here at home. Nothing against Americans, but, it's like, I'm not coming to America to appropriate your cultures, But yeah.
What is the lesson that took you the longest to learn?
Being frugal. I'm a spender of money. Yo. I like nice things. Nice things like me. That's a lesson. And I mean, it's probably because, I didn't grow up in money. I hadn't handled money before. And once you have it, you just want to spend it. But we gotta be frugal, guys. We gotta spend wisely because the future is not promised, but also you can really plan for it if you use your money wisely.
And speaking of which, how do you define success for yourself?
I define success for myself. I don't even know. It's different. Every time is different. And I always want to get better. So I never feel like I've arrived or I've succeeded completely in something. I'm always trying to see how much further I can go. But how I will define my success in the next 5 years, it would be having a successful company that has employed a lot of young black creatives from all walks of life, be it queer, be it, straight, bi, whatever, whoever you are, trans women, we all need to be represented somewhere. I would define my success if my company can reflect our society, especially black society, and have people from different walks of life in high positions in my company. That's how I'll define success in my next 5 years.
And what do you know now that you didn't know then that you wish somebody told you?
That adulting, that adulting is not child's play. And when you're a child, you need to play and get it out of your system, because when you're an adult, there's time to play, but adulting is hard. And I wish people told me to learn about taxes back in the day, or to focus on accounting at school, because you'll need it. You think you will never need it, but we all need it. Just in terms of accountability, in general. But I wish I knew how small the world was before. I used to think everything's so far away, and you think that America's far or London's far. They're all just a flight away. I wish I'd known back then that my dreams could be anywhere. I could dream about being anywhere and actually get there in the future. Yeah.
Is race about power or color?
Both. And it's weird because now the scales are shifting, because more black people are in power. But at the same time, we all know that the world's still run by the whites. But it's definitely both, yeah.
Is love a feeling or a choice?
Both. Love is a feeling and a choice. I think, it depends. You can't choose your family and you have to love them, but you can choose your friends and you have to love them. But also, with lovers, you can choose to love someone, but also you'll know that it's love depending on how it feels. Yeah. So it's both.
By what standards do you judge yourself?
By my own. I don't want to judge myself comparing myself to other people, because that doesn't work. I know that we all grew up in different families and we've got different support structures. So I can only judge myself by how much work I've put in to something. Did I wake up in gym this morning? Did I do my vocal warm-ups? So when I'm singing, I'm like, yeah, you sound crusty because you didn't warm up, So I'm always judging myself by how much effort I put in.
What is your personal mission statement?
My personal mission statement. The one that comes to mind it's not my own, like that I wrote it or whatever, but I think it's biblical. To whom much is given, much is required. So because I've been given the opportunity to create, a lot is required of me to make spaces available for other people to do the same. So I believe in a give and give, not just give and take. So we have to, if we expect people to give us, we have to be able to give to others as well.
I am most happy when
I'm singing on a stage. I'm most happy when I'm with my friends drinking a gin and tonic. I'm most happy when I got a bit of a doob. I'm most happy when I'm laughing. I'm most happy when I'm working out.
I believe in
miracles. You sexy thing, yeah. I believe in miracles. No, I believe in black creativity. I believe in black magic. I believe, not in a negative, like dark way, but we are magic. We are made of gold. We're the future of this world, and if we really invest in black creativity, this world would be a better place. I believe in black women. They're the best people in this world, and we need to take care of them. Yeah.
What is your daily prayer?
Protect me, O Lord, so that I may be a blessing to others, and that I may grow and become the man that you ultimately want me to be.
What do you wish for yourself?
Money! Lots of money! I wish to be an impresario. I wish to be a big shot producer that allows creatives to flourish in their work. I wish for myself to be a father to 2 beautiful kids. And just allow people to flourish in my presence.
I think that's a beautiful place to leave it at, and may your wishes all become true.
Yay!
Thank you.
Yay. Oh man.
Fabulous.
What do you wish for yourself?
No, listen, money is very important. We spoke about this.
Yo, it is.
Life could be easier.
Definitely.
If there's one thing in a person's life that can cripple you, everything can be in alignment.
Yeah.
There's no munch in that bank.
Honey, go back to the drawing board.
Life has made it as such.
Yeah, it's true. It's very true.